Yes, believe it or not, the religious actually make movies. Sort of. I mean, honestly, have you ever seen any of these things? They're utterly laughable, incompetently made, ridiculously scripted preach fests. But they do exist. Badly. This time, we're going to watch a trailer for a new Christian movie of sorts, although it's probably going to be on YouTube only because, it sucks. It really doesn't look good enough to appear in any theater, even those crazy little Christian ones. And that's not exactly a surprise, is it? Today, we're going to be taking a look at a video over on Bible Breakout. It's a trailer for some kind of a movie that they're producing, but if this is the best that they can do, run. Run fast and run far. This is just pure ignorance put on display. Worse, they are implying strongly that the only thing left for Christians is violence. Because they can't actually argue their way out of a wet paper bag. So let's have a new crusade to shut up the evil atheists who are hurting their precious widow fifis. Instead of just, showing atheists that we're wrong. Because who the hell would want to do that? Let's go watch.
It's easy to attack an idea.
It depends on what you're actually doing. If you're going to be attacking an idea, that idea has to have something demonstrably wrong with it. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. When that idea happens to be religious, there is rarely any end to the number of factual, rational, or intellectual problems it contains. And that's a good thing. We ought to attack bad ideas. And you're just mad because you happen to like those specific bad ideas. You got some problems, buddy.
To question a conclusion.
Again, if there is a problem with the conclusion, yes, you can and, in fact, you should question it. Ideas should not be ignored simply because they provide false comfort to irrational people. It is our duty to correct misconceptions. It is our duty to ferret out the facts and shine a light on absurdly false beliefs. Maybe, just maybe, you should ask yourself why we find it so bloody easy to do that with your beliefs.
To rip apart a perspective.
Perspectives do not receive respect simply because they exist. Respect is earned. It is not simply granted because it makes you feel good. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter why you believe it. It matters if what you believe is demonstrably true in the real world that we all share. And it's really a shame that religion isn't.
It's a simple thing to dismantle a worldview.
Only if the worldview is so weak and utterly indefensible that it falls apart nearly on its own. Like Christianity. It's when your views are based on emotion and not on intellect that they tend to have trouble maintaining coherence. Why in the world do you believe this crap?
To belittle one's belief and to mock their opinions.
Now, this is where you're getting into childish behavior. Your opinions do not deserve respect, as I said previously. If you are so emotionally attached to your opinions and your beliefs that you find it impossible to step back and evaluate them rationally, then the problem is you. It's not us, it's not the world, it's you. It isn't the people that are pointing out that you have problems. Maybe, just maybe, you ought to try to fix that.
We live in an instant gratification world, raising a generation seeking fast fulfillment, rapid rewards, and pressure-free payoffs.
That might be true, but that has nothing at all to do with religion. In fact, that seems to pretty accurately describe the religious, don't you think? Just believe what it says in a book that we happen to like, and you'll wind up in eternity. Don't question any of it because, it'll just cause cognitive dissonance. Proclaim that you're automatically right in everything that you believe, and magically, well, you must be. Well, at least you think you are. It isn't like you can prove a damn thing when it comes to your religion, after all. And that's actually kind of a problem.
We have an entire generation willing to tear down others for a fast track to fame, to rip apart their own society for the sake of chaos and notoriety.
Again, that is true, at least to a certain degree, but it has nothing at all to do with the subject of religion. Because, at least in my case, and the case of a lot of other atheists, we're not tearing your beliefs down for no reason. We're doing it because you're demonstrably wrong. And not only are you demonstrably wrong, but your beliefs are demonstrably harmful. Because you are not functioning under the guise of rationality, intelligence, or critical thinking. You are behaving like an immature child, clinging desperately to your beliefs for emotional reasons, even when you have no reason whatsoever to take them seriously. And historically, religion has done nothing but cause problems. It has caused and continues to cause violence in the name of its beliefs. It stands in the way of scientific advancement. It tries to force its blind faith on people who have absolutely no interest in it whatsoever, often at the point of a sword or the barrel of a gun. It tries to tell people how they must live their lives because your religion insists that they do so, even if they don't believe in your religion. It is authoritarian in the extreme, and it demonstrably harms both individuals and societies. So, you're damn right, we're going to tell you to knock it off. Truth matters. Rent a clue.
To shatter their own lives for online likes and upvotes while hijacking the causes of others for their own gain. To destroy. That's easy. That's simple. To create. That's something entirely different.
Not really. I mean, it depends on whether what you are creating is worth creating in the first place. That's where we evaluate your claims, we look at your evidence, if you pretend to have any, and we see if your creation is meaningful in any rational way whatsoever. And surprise, surprise, when it comes to religion, that simply isn't the case. As I said before, truth matters. Having factually correct, objectively defensible beliefs is important. And no matter how much you may not like the idea, you simply do not have any of that. You just pretend that you do, but you're wrong. Maybe you need to go find something a little more impressive than silly beliefs and ancient books of mythology. Because otherwise, if you can't do that, we're just going to point out how dumb you are.
Something painstaking, requiring the patience to plant, the humility to admit wrongs.
Wait, hold up, whoa. When exactly has religion ever admitted wrongs, especially without being dragged to it kicking and screaming? When have, creationists ever admitted that they were wrong about the whole evolution thing? When have flat earthers, who are virtually all hyper-religious, ever admitted that they were wrong about the shape of the planet? When have religious fundamentalists, especially Muslim fundamentalists, ever admitted that they were wrong to throw gay people off of roofs, or Christian fundamentalists admitting that they were wrong to deny gay people equal representation under the law? Exactly when have your people ever admitted that you were wrong about anything? Anything! You simply don't do that!
And the sacrifice of surrendering one's own life for the sake of those who follow. To build, That's hard. That's difficult. And when it comes to defining our existence, to debating the meaning of our lives, this distinction is becoming more prevalent, more obvious.
That's because you're not actually asking any worthwhile questions. You are doing it not to achieve truth, but to achieve comfort. You don't care if you have any facts, so long as your feelings are coddled. We are simply pointing out that this is a wholly irrational way of looking at the real world. What the religious are doing is hiding. They're climbing into their safe spaces and demanding that everyone else respect their beliefs. Sorry, that's not going to fly. Respect is earned. Try saying something that actually earns any respect. Because I don't think for 1 second that they're capable or even remotely interested in that.
Christianity as a worldview is now under attack by those offering nothing in return.
Ah yes, back to this mindless chestnut. Here's the reality for you because you don't seem to have a grip on it. I don't have to offer an alternative view to the idea that ingesting cyanide is bad for you. I don't have to suggest something that's good for you instead. I only have to evaluate your claims and find them rationally lacking and then rightfully disassemble them for the good of all. Religion is dangerous. This video proves it conclusively. It really is just a bunch of immature children saying, "We get our way," or "Watch out." Jeez, grow the hell up.
No meaning, no purpose, no hope. By a newer breed of evangelical atheism.
It is literally impossible to be an evangelical atheist. The term only refers specifically to Christians. Look it up. Now, you could possibly get away with fundamentalist, although that really doesn't describe anything either when it comes to atheism, because there are no fundamentals to the atheist, I guess, quote-unquote, faith. Mostly because there's no faith to begin with. Atheism has no creeds, no beliefs, no holy writ. The only thing we have in common is that we don't believe in gods. What some atheists want, and not all of them by any means, is to rid the world of the scourge of religion. They aren't trying to convert anyone to atheism because there's nothing to convert anyone to. We're just trying to scrub the planet of the demonstrably dangerous mind poison that is religious belief. And frankly, that's a good thing.
One that shies away from its own convictions for the sake of convenience. One that hides from its own outcomes in the interest of an outcry. A worldview that positions itself as no position.
None of which is even possible with atheism. But, who cares about the truth when you're just making emotional appeals to people who already believe things you're trying to push? To actually try to reach demonstrable, objective fact, that requires effort, and, they're not actually going to do any of that, are they? They might have to do some actual work. What the hell? Can't do that.
Yet has become more evangelical than Christianity itself.
Again, entirely impossible. Those words do not go together. Try again.
Seeking to subject theism into silence.
Wait, you mean like Christianity has done to the non-religious for centuries? Well, except for all the mass murder, torture, theft, and other things that the non-religious have been subjected to at the hands of the religious since religion got their grubby little mitts on the power to do so. Because there's really no comparison between the two. You don't see atheists trying to kill theists by and large. You can find far more murders of atheists by the religious by several dozen orders of magnitude than you can find atheists who killed theists. Now keep in mind, it is absolutely impossible to do any act in the name of atheism, but the religious don't understand that because they simply do not understand the opposition. Nor, unfortunately, do they care.
To push us away from its burdens and responsibilities into a realm of unfettered intellectual dissonance. displacing us from our own experiences while denying our most basic questions.
How exactly does that work? It is literally impossible unless we develop mind control technology to displace you from anything you think you have experienced. All we're doing is questioning the validity of the claims that you have been making about these so-called experiences. We're just saying that we don't believe you. We're pointing out that you are just interpreting your experiences in light of pre-existing beliefs which cannot be demonstrated to be true. We are suggesting that you're not using logic, reason, or critical thinking to properly evaluate what happens to you. All of this is true, by the way, whether the religious like it or not. And because they don't like it, they just try to turn it all into a giant conspiracy theory.
Why are we here? Why do we really exist? What is our ultimate purpose?
All questions, as I pointed out in previous videos, that are largely irrelevant based on emotion rather than intellect. Because why makes assumptions that are simply not demonstrable. We can explain how we got here. We can explain how we came into existence. There's no purpose beyond what we give ourselves. But these are not emotionally comforting to the religious, and that's what religion is all about. It's trying to deal with potentially uncomfortable realities by making up comforting explanations that have nothing at all in common with the real world. And doing that is dangerous to us all.
Attack. It's what this new atheism does.
Please don't make me pull out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples of religious murders on the non-religious, okay? Because I can do that. What's really going on here is that the religious, who have had centuries of control and power and completely unearned advantage, they are suddenly losing that control, and they're not happy about it. According to them, they deserve to be in charge because their imaginary friend in the sky says so. Not like they can prove that or anything, but, who cares about that, right? And now that people are daring to point out just how stupid all of the things the religious believe are, they're freaking out and screaming, help us, we're being oppressed. Because, they can't oppress anybody else anymore. These people are just immature children. It's amazing just how dumb they actually are.
Expecting us to turn the other cheek, listening to the words of Jesus.
No, we expect you to rent a clue and get a grip on reality. I know that's a scary prospect for you people, but it's time to grow up and deal with the world that you actually live in, not the fantasy land that you have in your head. Playtime is over. It's time to join objective reality with the rest of us, and that idea absolutely terrifies them.
And in the proper context, we should do exactly that. But this isn't that context. This isn't that time. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says there is a time and a place for everything under the sun. And now is the time and place for Christian thinkers to rise back up and hit back.
Ah yes, when you can't respond intellectually, you respond with violence. It's how Christianity has worked since it began. What? Another religion has something we want? We should kill them! Yeah, that's it! Proclaim that they are heathens and you're just doing them a favor by making them all very, very, very dead. And that might work great when your side is in control, but that's just not the case anymore. Former believers are flooding out of the churches as they finally realize that the light of day has shone a beam on the stupidity that they used to have faith in. The religious have no means whatsoever to combat that because faith is no longer seen as a positive thing. People are expecting facts, and the religious have absolutely none of those. So, just like the children that they are, when they fail to engage with their detractors intellectually, they just come out swinging. It's not going to work well for them today, though, because they're no longer on the side of the angels. They no longer have that unwarranted and unearned advantage over the non-religious that they once enjoyed. Nope. Now they're on an even footing, and the standard of proof isn't, I have faith, it's, I have evidence. And they don't. Yeah, and the second they start trying to hit back, they're going to wind up in jail whining about how they're being persecuted. Well, it's just so unfair that we don't get our own way. It's all your fault. Except it's not. You are responsible for the things that you permit into your head, not us. We're just pointing out that your beliefs are entirely rationally unfounded, and let's be honest, completely laughable. You have absolutely no means of any kind to point out from a rational point of view why your beliefs are credible or logical or worthwhile to accept. Because, they're not. It really is an example of an immature child throwing a temper tantrum because they're not getting their way. Atheists are not attacking them. We're not cornering them in a dark alley and whacking them over the head with a baseball bat. We're disagreeing with them, and their beliefs are so completely fragile, their faith so unbelievably weak, that anyone pointing out just how silly the things they believe actually are, they're breaking down into a quivering mess and start crying out for their magical father figure in the sky to come and save them, instead of standing up on their own 2 feet and presenting rational, logical, and objectively demonstrable reasons why they believe what they believe. This might be an actual credible fight if they could do that. It might lead to some interesting debates. Unfortunately, they are entirely incapable, and because of that, they have to turn to the coward's way of shutting up their detractors. It's the same thing they have done since day one. They turn to violence or the implied threat of it. This movie of theirs isn't going to be a well-reasoned, rationally applied logic fest presenting clear and concise evidence for the existence of their God and the validity of their beliefs. It's going to be the same old tired, laughable, emotionally derived nonsense that they've always had because they really have nothing else. Anyone who turns to violence because they are aggrieved, those people have lost any credibility at all. But that's all Christianity has, isn't it? A whole lot of claims, absolutely no proof, and the immature mindset to come out swinging for the fences when people point out just how sad their beliefs actually are. This isn't Bible breakout, it's Bible breakdown. They have finally admitted that they have nothing of substance to say. And I doubt anyone is surprised.